Hello and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. Head of State presides over the launch of National Biometric Register. And on the international scene, worst floods in the country kills over 300 people in South Africa. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, went today in the late morning to the headquarters of the Directorate Population for the launch of the National Biometric Register of the Population and to receive his biometric ID card. Upon his arrival, the head of state was welcomed by the Prime Minister Mr. Abdul Ghadir Kamil Mohammed and the Minister of Interior Mr. Saeed Nur Hassan, as well as the Director General of the Population Mr. Ahmed Umar Jama' and the Colonel of the Police. The President had a guided tour of the facilities, including the registration counters and administrative formalities, to the printing room through the identification and enrollment room with the presence of staff made available to applicants. This identity card contains all the elements that allow an impeccable identification of a citizen in a secure way. The President was acquainted with the functioning and the different processes in issuing this new biometric card. This biometric program will cover all secure titles and administrative documents. Currently, the process that has just been initiated concerns the exchange procedure of the national identity card, the driving license, and the gray card. As for the other titles, they will continue in a progressive way. This program, initiated by the will of the head of state to put over country in a phase with its time. The digital era consists in gathering in a unique file the demographic and biometric data of any physical person living on the national soil by attributing to him on the basis a unique and unvocal national identification number. As for other titles, they will continue in a progressive way. To do this, the Minister of Interior, through the Directorate General of Population, has set up 5 integrated counters for the charge of these titles within Ras Deka and in the 4 districts, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the city of Djibouti. For the interior regions, the enrollment will start from May 15, 2022. The facilities, including the registration counters and administrative formalities, to the printing room, through the identification and enrollment room with the presence of staff made available to applicants. The President is acquainted with the functioning and the different processes of issuing this new biometric identity card. Satisfied, the President, the country's first citizen, took part in this exercise and fulfilled his civic duty. He enrolled and received his biometric national identity card. The objective of this project is to allow the population to have fully biometric administrative documents entirely dematerialized. It should be noted that this biometric card is part of the government's desire to make the civil statute a vector of citizenship and to be at the rendezvous in this digital revolution. In an interview on national television, the Director General of the General Directorate of Population and Family, Mr. Ahmed Umar Jama', pointed out the importance of launching the biometric national card service by the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. He stated that the National Biometric Register, which was launched this morning by the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, is a broad program initiated by His Excellency since 2018. Based on the law related to this matter, which was issued in the year 2019, in the ninth paragraph related to the National Register of Persons with no national identity. This registration will enable any citizen or foreigner residing in the territories to obtain a card that includes identifying the data in the identity card to exchange services between him and the administrations. So this new technology will allow us to determine the identity of the population. The Committee on Legislation, General Administration, and Human Rights, in the presence of non-member deputies, discussed a draft law on the organization of the Secretariat of State responsible for investment in private sector development, chaired by MP Abdullah Barakat Ibrahim. This meeting was attended by the Secretary of State in charge of investment in private sector development, Mrs. Safiya Muhammad Ali Gadali, accompanied by the administrators of this ministerial department. After a dialogue on the nature of the missions, the scope of prerogatives, and the modalities of the organization contained in the draft text, the Law Commission deliberated in favor of the transmission of the State Corps with its favorable opinion by inserting proposed amendments. This morning, Hajj Hassan Gulet Stadium hosted a ceremony for handing over sports equipment and trophies to about 15 sports associations and organizations of the Ramadan tournament. The equipment consisting of soccer balls, basketball, volleyball, and goal nets, as well as cups and medals as trophies, was handed over to the presidents and representatives of sports associations in the capital. The distribution of this equipment falls within the framework of organizing Ramadan tournaments organized annually by the heads of community development centers in major centers and stadiums. The distribution activities took place in the presence of the Minister of State in charge of sports, Mr. Hassan Muhammad Kamil, the Secretary General of the Secretariat, Mrs. Khadija Ibrahim Idris, the Director of Sports, Mr. Abshir Hassan, and the Director of Gulet Stadium, Mrs. Fatima, in addition to many employees of the State Secretariat in Sports and other individuals. The Minister of State Secretary in charge of sports took the opportunity to encourage the participants in the Ramadan tournaments that are held in this blessed month by his ministerial department. It is worth noting that the blessed month of Ramadan is an opportunity for Djiboutian youth to organize sports tournaments in the capital and the interior regions. The Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gaidi, received yesterday a delegation of the American company called GWP Global. This delegation of this American company, led by Mr. Yusuf Taki, expressed to the Minister his interest in investing the energy sector in Djibouti. The discussions between the Minister and his hosts focused on the large-scale green hydrochemical project presented by the delegation. This project provides for the production of green hydrogen and ammonia at the very competitive costs in Djibouti and Ethiopia. In its entirety, the project will include approximately 12 gigawatt of wind power and 8 gigawatt of photovoltaic power, solar seawater desalination plant, and a state-of-the-art hydrogen and ammonia systems. Thus, this project will place Djibouti at the forefront of global decarbonization initiatives and provide our country with enormous growth opportunities, including providing citizens and business with large quantities of cheap green hydrogen and ammonia for use in a wide range of industries, as well as stimulating regional economic development by providing long-term opportunities through the creation of numerous jobs. His Excellency Mr. Daya Ad-Din Abba Makarama, of Djibouti in Riyadh, in his capacity as the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps associated to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, was received in audience successfully by the government of the region of Riyadh, His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin Bandar bin Abdul Aziz, and the Vice Governor of the region of Riyadh, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Abdul Aziz. The Djibouti ambassador exchanged with the two princes greetings on the occasion of the blessed month of Ramadan on behalf of the diplomatic corps associated to Djibouti, Saudi Arabia, as well as several other topics of common interest. Ambassador Daya Ad-Din Bamakarama was accompanied during these two audiences by the coordinators of the Geographical Corps accredited in Riyadh, the ambassador of Cameroon, Pakistan, Palestine, Albania, Brunei, Brazil, and Australia. This morning, at about 8:30 a.m., a bus full of passengers overturned on the road to Venice. 22 people were injured. The bus was coming from the direction of the city center that was heading towards Balbala. The bus was traveling at the supposedly high speed. When it reached the dry port and was overtaking a tanker truck, it hit the central reservation before losing control. It hit and tore off an EDD pole before overturning the opposite line. There were 22 injuries, including the driver, one of whom was seriously injured. The National Police Traffic Brigade ambulances and the sub-prefect of the 1st District arrived at the scene immediately to clear the traffic and provide assistance and help to the men injured. The excessive speed, the failure of the steering device, and the lack of control would be the origin of this accident, according to the first findings. The respect of the high code and especially of speed is essential on our roads. It is the duty of all drivers to be cautious in order to not endanger their lives, but also those of passengers and pedestrians. As part of the government program to fight against food insecurity, was held on Wednesday, April 13, 2022. A distribution of food in the locality of Adueno, in Oboch, border locality at the vote of Musa Ali in favor of 300 households. This is the sub-prefecture of Ali Dala in that region of Obokh. These foodstuffs are granted by the Ministry of Social Affairs in Soldairi. The sub-prefecture, Mr. Mohammed Hassan Humad, the Vice President of the Regional Council, Mr. Ahmed Ali Mohammed, the representative of MAS in Obokh, Mr. Dabale, and the Chief Medical Officer of the region, Dr. Abdul Qadir Mohammed Ali, as well as the LAT of the Inter-Army Regiment in Jujura, took part in these distribution activities. Despite the month of Ramadan in the harsh climate, the population mobilized in mass. It should be noted that also in parallel to these activities, the medical team led by the Chief Medical Officer carried out activities of medical care for all the population. As a part of the fight against contraband in all its forms and the prevention of public health violations, investigators from the Brigade of Neighborhood 6 and 7 have seized prohibited and dangerous products. During a search carried out in the store located in District 1, the gendarmerie seized 2 boxes of smuggled cosmetic products of brands Dermotive Cream and Moravit. These cosmetic products represent a danger to the public health, especially for women. The persons involved were arrested and will be brought to justice to answer for their calls. Moving towards the international scene now, our blood viewers, South Africa's worst ever floods have killed more than 300 people. According to the new 12 Wednesday night, as heavy rains on the east coast devastated thousands of homes, roads, and brigades in Durban, a major African port and epicenter of the disaster, the death toll from the floods in KwaZulu-Natal East stands at 306. A spokesman for the disaster management officer said a previous death toll was 259. The heaviest rainfall in more than 60 years in the region has left behind a desolate landscape. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you once again for joining.